Hey there, good people. I'm Scott, and this is Sword and Shield Studio. Right now, we are going to be looking at groups and macros within DaVinci Resolve Fusion, and it's a lot of information. So let's get right into it. Okay, so here I am on the Fusion tab of DaVinci Resolve, where I have created a fake logo composition here within Fusion. I've got a text node, an ellipse mask over a background node, and a merge feeding into the media out. Pretty simple little composition, just for the sake of the tutorial here, show you how groups and macros work. To create a group, you hold left click and box select all the nodes that you want to include in your group. So for me, that's this entire composition here minus the media out. And then I will hit Control G or Command G if you're on a Mac. Or alternatively, you can right click and hit Group here. Now this has collected all of the nodes we grouped into a neat single stack on our node tree, as you'll see here. You can still access all the nodes within the group by double clicking it. And this will pull up the entire group within a window, which you can still freely modify each of your nodes in here within. You can also save a group and reuse it in another project if you wish. In order to do that, you right click your group, go to Settings, Save As, and by default it will put it in the Fusion settings folder. You can save it anywhere. I'm just going to save this on my desktop and call it fake logo group. Now, in order to recall that group, I simply go to my desktop, drag that fake logo group file directly onto my node tree, and it's there, just as though I placed it within Fusion. This is very handy when transferring pieces of a Fusion composition between computers. Now on to macros. Macros are a way to bundle nodes together, kind of similar to the groups. They allow you to create really easy to understand and modify templates that can be used in other projects and distributed online. To create a macro, you hold left click and box select all the nodes you want to include in your macro. For me, that'll be everything but the media out. Right click, go to macro, create macro. Now this brings up a checklist, which at first looks a bit daunting and confusing. But if you close out all these sections here, you quickly realize that this checklist is just a list of all the nodes you chose to include in your macro and all the different control parameters within each of those nodes. Knowing this, all that we have to do is identify what we want the user of our macro to be able to control and check the box next to those options in our macro editor. Let's say for the sake of the tutorial, we want our macro to allow you to change the font face, style, and font color. We know these are probably all going to be a part of our text node. So navigate to the text node and expand the controls. Within the text node, we want the properties specifically pertaining to the text controls themselves. So I will expand the text menu within the text node. Here I will check font, style, color, green, blue, alpha. This will allow your macro to control the composition's font face, color, and styling. Next, give your macro a name. That's going to be fake logo macro for me. Go to the top left of your macro editor, hit File, Save As. Again, I'm going to keep the name as fake logo macro and keep it in the default directory of Fusion macros. Hit save. Close out of the macro editor. Then when I disconnect the loose nodes, I can come into my Fusion tree and control space as though I'm adding any other tool or effect into my Fusion node tree here. Type in fake logo macro, and boom, there it is as its own macro tool. I will add it to my node tree, hook it up to the media out, and you will notice I have controls for the font face, the style, and the color. All the selections I made in the macro editor are reflected here in this neat window in my inspector. Now, if you want to get back to your node editor to add or remove controls to your macro, you simply right click anywhere in your node graph, go to edit macro. You'll see fake logo macro for me is here in the menu. I'll click that and it brings back up the node editor so I can add or remove options to my macro as I please. Note, however, that if you do make changes to your macro, you will need to place a new instance of your macro in your node tool in order for those changes to be reflected. For instance, if I remove the control to change the font and save changes, you won't see that in the macro that's already in my composition here. I will have to add a new instance, and you will see the fake logo macro 1 only has style and color controls now. Well, that's it for groups and macros within DaVinci Resolve Fusion. As you can see, knowing when to utilize these features can help you keep more organized with your node trees within Fusion. Even better, you can use macros and groups to reuse and distribute your most commonly used effects and nodes within Fusion too. So, I hope you found this video helpful and this information was useful for you. I will see you next time.